Thanks very much indeed for you. So you heard the announcement on the public sector wage bill cut. We have the Minister saying about 160 billion rand to be cut from public sector wages. At least that's the proposal. I have Matthew Parks from COSATU here with me. Geez, if I had to choose a winner or a loser, on face value you'd be the loser, Matthew. Have I got that right?
Yes, you've got it right completely. We view the budget statement as basically an attack upon workers' right to earn a living wage. The Minister was silent about the fact that we lose 10% of our budget to corruption and wasteful expenditure. That's about 150 billion rand a year. Yet they want to get that money out of public servants' wages. Public servants don't earn much money. The average wage of a nurse is about 200,000 rand. And they're looking for a lazy, easy scapegoat. They're not addressing the wasteful expenditure or the corruption. They're not addressing the collapsing of the SOEs. They haven't even looked at increasing taxes upon the rich or looking at tax loopholes that could be plugged. They failed to come with a stimulus economic plan to grow the economy, to create jobs. The only thing out of this budget is to say we want to squeeze public servants. And the way they've done it is in a very reckless and dangerous way. We've been having engagements at the Public Service Bargaining Council about how to address the wage issues for the next 3 years.
Can I ask you then that this couldn't have been a bombshell drop? You would have had consultations about this.
It was a bombshell drop because yesterday they went to the Public Service Bargaining Council and said they want to withdraw from the existing 2019-2020 wage agreement. And that's a collapse of negotiating good faith. It's an act of actually extreme provocation. It's basically telling us that government's agreements are not worth the paper they're printed on. We had made compromises for this year's wage agreement. It is the lowest wage agreement in 11 years. Now they say they want to walk away from it. And they really want to just shift the blame to public service. So for us, it's making engagements very difficult because we don't know if we have a partner who is willing to negotiate in good faith at all.
So is this in proposal phase? What happens from this point of view? I would imagine you've got a few members ringing up your cell phone and saying, what is this? Is that what's happening?
Yes, our members are very angry. From yesterday when government went to the Public Service Bargaining Council out of the blue and said they want to withdraw, they want to collapse the agreement, our members are furious. And it's difficult to sell compromises to members when they say, well, look, we're willing to save ESCOM, for example, as COSATU. We're willing to put money on the table to help save the most strategic economic asset in the country. Members are all saying just, oh, so you're willing to assist government, but government is not returning the favour. They're basically slapping you in the face, and they're not addressing the fundamental crisis in the state, which is corruption and wasteful expenditure.
I want to talk about that. So just fit this in, this cut on the wage bill as proposed by the Finance Minister today, with discussions on the assistance with pensions directed towards ESCOM. Did that feature as one conversation or not?
We had gone to leadership of the ANC and the Alliance and government in early November last year after we saw in the October budget statement that there was no plan from government to save ESCOM, the SOEs, the state, the economy. We proposed concrete proposals on everything, from ESCOM to the SOEs to the wage bill, the state. Government failed to take it seriously. ANC is so dysfunctional, truly else they failed to take up the office seriously, and has now put us in a very difficult situation. It's really restricting our space to negotiate and to compromise, and it's basically putting the gun to our heads and seeking to mobilize the public against workers and against unions, somehow to make us the scapegoats for the failure of leadership in government and the ANC.
Am I exaggerating if I say that it reminds me of a Prime Minister somewhere up north in the early 80s that may have had a similar posture, or is that an exaggeration?
Look, I don't know about that. Our assessment of how government and the ANC works right now is extremely dysfunctionality. It's a question of lethargy, not realizing how difficult the economy situation is. And as our members who are facing retrenchment at SAA, at SABC, at Denel, at ESCOM potentially, across the private sector. So we're really disappointed how government is very lethargic on issues and not dealing with it with the seriousness it deserves.
Having said that, Matthews, I mean, there's still potential space and time to sit down with government on this one, is there not?
Look, we have to engage, and that's the job of unions and COSATU, is to engage and to find a compromise, find a solution. From our point of view, we won't accept retrenchment of workers. We'll defend their jobs. We won't accept the salaries to be cut. We'll defend that. We've got concrete proposals on how we can address the crisis, including along the wage bill. We think there's space to reduce what ministers earn, what director generals or managers earn. There's space to reduce the excessive bloated management structures and the parastatals. We think you can put the parastatals, the SOEs, under the Public Service Bargaining Council. That can help provide a lot of reduction in the wasteful expenditure. Equally, we think there's space in the public service vacancies to fill critical frontline service delivery posts like nurses and teachers, doctors and police. So we think there is a common sense approach to do with it, and you can do it over 3 years, so you can address the fiscal crisis without undermining workers' right to a living wage, without undermining public service delivery.
Well, you'll get government or perhaps Treasury arguing that, one, we are tackling corruption, and you can see that in the 2.5 billion rand that we throw into the NPA and other specialised units to fight exactly that. On the other hand, we've also got some tax incentives, if you like, but that's pushing it. Perhaps we didn't raise the tax rates, so the workers themselves are actually having a sort of a better environment than they anticipated on that front, at least.
Look, on the tax issue, I think we are quite pleasantly surprised that VAT was not increased. I think we must applaud government for not succumbing to the pressure to increase VAT, and also they've given tax relief on a personal income basis. I think that we must commend government for. That's some welcome relief. But we think that, look, the fiscal crisis is so great, they could have increased income tax for the rich. They could have looked at taxing or plugging some of the tax loopholes. We would have wanted to see them also dealing with SARS's capacitation issues, to invest more in SARS, to deal with the tax evasion issues, especially on customs enforcement. So on that point of view, we appreciate the relief for workers, but we felt they could have squeezed the rich a little bit more, given the fiscal crisis we face.
Matthew, I'm just going to go outside of the budget for a second here, and let's just go back to the proposal of using those pension funds to rescue Eskom. Exactly what can we expect on that? What phase are we at in that particular issue?
Look, our position on Eskom is that it's not just about the 44,000 workers at Eskom's jobs. It's about all 60 million South Africans' jobs. It's about all of our pension funds. If Eskom collapses, we'll have no economy. So that's why we offered a decisive proposal to save Eskom. We're making very good progress around the negotiations. We've received fantastic responses from government, from business, from other labour federations. It'll still take a few more weeks to come to conclusion, but we're very optimistic, and we have to do it. There is no greater crisis than Eskom. And if we can tackle the crisis in Eskom, we can then begin to other crises facing the state, facing the economy and so on. And if we think it's a useful engagement, we actually have been quite pleasantly surprised about how business, for example, has responded to our social compact model and how they're willing to contribute towards saving it.
COSATU's Matthew Parks, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. Not a very